Yo, yo, yo. I'm like, oh crap, wait a second.
Where are we?
Happy December 23rd. It is December 23rd, y'all. The year of our Lord, 2021. We are just days away, 8 days away from an entire new year. Yay!
I love New Year's.
Hallelujah. I'm so ready for a rebirth.
Me too.
Of everything. What an exciting time right now for many of us as we are coming into a place of recognizing. Oh, Donnie, nice music. Recognizing an opportunity here to reevaluate current achieved, unachieved goals, places of our life for growth, a lot. This is just a great time for us to be putting ourselves in a place of moving forward. We talked about this, Krista, you and I, some time back, as a small business, a very, very small business, both of us, with just a few employees. Mm-hmm. It can become very difficult for us to take a break.
Yeah. Oh, friend. What's that? I mean, so listen, we just have to look at breaks differently. Like when people take a break in the corporate world, they get to take a week where we might take, 10 minutes. It's all whatever.
Yeah, no, I'm 10 minutes. Actually, it's a good start.
Yeah. 10 minutes.
Right. It's a good start.
I'm proud of myself for that.
Yeah. Just little bits. So we got a special guest today. I'm going to be honest. I had a difficult time trying to come up with a creative title for this. Maybe if I put a little more thought into it, but there's just a lot of stuff going on. And I kind of want to end the year with something interesting. And let's kind of talk about this. If you guys have not caught some of the recent episodes, man, we've been getting in some great stuff. But anyways, this friend of mine is a long time a friend and a frequent flyer, like I like to call to the show. So without further ado, I want to introduce my friend and also entrepreneur business owner, Mr. Tom Smith. Thank you very much for coming on again.
Hey, guys.
So Tom,
I was listening to you guys talking. It's really funny at small business owners. Everyone's like, well, it's just going to get really slow this time of year. We're just going to take a little break. And I'm sitting there thinking, well, the light bill doesn't take a break.
No.
The rent doesn't take a break.
No. My CPA is not taking a break.
No.
Right.
Yeah. No, I agree. It's crazy because I remember this period of my life being too soft. I'm about to go sleep. This period right now of my life when I was in a different role where, man, I was out.
Yeah.
Like for 2 or 3 weeks, I would always save my PTO up to this time of the year. And I mean, I was out like come like a week or so before Christmas, I was done to the new year. You wouldn't see me for 3 or 4 weeks. But it's funny now. It's like, no, like we're pressing in, trying to get everything done for our clients. How do we make sure that we've done our planning, but they're all doing theirs? We know that they're all having these big meetings and they're getting together and they're going to hit us in January with all their new vision. And now we're going to be like,
Yeah. So I was a high school English teacher for 6 years. So y'all know December is a wash. Like you finish finals and then you have all your parties and then you've got 2.5 weeks off. And so you just coasted into the new year. That's not the situation I'm in anymore. And I'll be honest with you, I don't know that I would trade it. I'm gonna go back.
Yeah, it's speaking of Matrix, just dropped HBO Max. So pumped for this weekend. But it's the Matrix aspect, right? It's the pill, the blue pill, red pill. It's one of those things that I think a lot of us, we think, man, I'm tired. Let me just go get a normal job.
Yeah.
I think it's too late.
Yeah.
I told a good friend of mine this sometime back after we worked together for a little bit on some stuff. And I said, you realize that you've just made yourself unemployable. And he goes, what do you mean? I said, you see, you've switched, right? You've opened your mind and you understand how to innovate, how to think, how to challenge, and you want to create. And once you become a creator, you either need to step into an intrapreneurship role, some level of leadership where you can build yourself, either, within mentorship, become a mentor, but you can no longer just be in the status quo. You can never go back, because once you understand that, it changes you, right? Or you just need to start your own business. Now, that doesn't mean you have to walk away from everything, but it's just one of those things. I agree. Tom, how long have you been a entrepreneur now?
Ever since I got out of college. So that would have been 96. So
we're all trying to
30, no, 20
years.
It's a long time. Yeah, a long time.
A few years.
Few years. Well, awesome. So
yeah, I haven't had a job since college, actually.
Tom's like, yeah, there's no way.
Yeah,
there's no way. But anyways, Merry Christmas, Happy Hanukkah, Happy Holidays. You know what? Happy end of year and Happy New Year for all you guys watching. Hey, we appreciate you being here. Do us a favor, drop a hashtag live. Let us know that you're here. And I kind of want to get into it. So what I would love to know from you guys, for those of you watching, and I don't, know how many are going to be watching live today, just because it's getting close to the end of the year. But here's what I do want to know from you guys is, what are you wanting to see from this program in 2022? I would really love to know that. That is one of the things I'd love for you to drop in the comments and let us know. And we want to know how we can help and support. Now, outside of that, as we go into this year, one of the things that I've been recognizing and looking at, and I've put a few posts out there, it's been really interesting, is to watch kind of the current state of things that are happening in the economy. And so what I'm talking about is the craze and the fad of cryptocurrency, right? I just posted a post on my LinkedIn profile here last night. It was interesting. There's a gentleman I follow. I think his name is Jay. I got to look back, but he posted an article in 2000 in one of the newspapers that was like, it was referencing the fad and the ultimate eventual fail of this thing called the internet, because everybody just was not getting it. And it's really interesting to look back only 20 years, you guys. It was 2000. Like, it feels like it was yesterday, but if you look at it, it wasn't that long ago in terms of how technology and everything has grown in our economy. And I'm seeing the way that we looked at that level of innovation, and now we have all these changes happening into our economy. We have all these new shakeups and innovations happening within how we transfer funds and value. It's crazy how we can pay for goods and services now. All of this is one of those things that, to me, I think has to be an element that we as a member in the economy should have a responsibility of being aware in. And so that's kind of what I want to get into. There isn't a whole lot in terms of where the direction is for this conversation, other than I want to open that conversation because I'm watching something as everybody's focused on what the government and can and cannot do in regards to our personal health and, states locking things down, not locking things down. This is a current conversation that I don't know if it's going to get settled anytime soon, but in the background, the U.S. inflation rate has hit an all-time high. 22 years we haven't seen this. And I think this is probably one of the biggest things that, as a small business and a large business, because you are employing small business. Small businesses are solving your problem. We're your service providers, we're your vendors, we're your distributors. We are the solutions that you are hiring. And this is going to affect us in the coming year. And so I just want to bring it up. Tom, what do you think? What are your thoughts?
Well, it's funny that you mentioned technology because technology has a deflationary counter to inflationary monetary policy. If you think about why, it's almost inexplicable that the inflation rate hasn't been higher over the last 20 years. It's been pretty stable around 1 or 2% a year. But during that same 20-year period, the internet happened and all of this efficiency and all of these digital twins and all of these replacements and things that happen that make us run our lives more efficient has a deflationary hedge against actual inflation. And there's a lot of people who believe that the deflationary effect of technology on the world has been the counterbalance to the inflation. Why we've seen inflation go crazy recently is because I forget, I'm losing track. How many $1 trillion have been printed in the last
Yeah. So in 18 months, here's what I know, and I'll pull it up. I've got so many stuff in front of me. Here, what I do know is that in the US economy, in the last 18 to 20 months, more money has been printed than in the entire history of our country's economic.
Yep.
Right. And it's just outdoing the pace of any, technological advances that we have. I mean, it's crazy. And most people aren't even aware of what's happening because the Federal Reserve they speak in codes, right? So 2 weeks ago, they had a headline that said, Fed chair announces that they're going to taper asset purchases.
Okay, so let's get into that. Taper asset purchases.
Right. So in Fed speak,
Right.
what that means in Fed speak is we're not going to print as much money tomorrow as we are printing today.
Which I, Tom, need that to be said. When Rigo told me, he's like, hey, we're going to have Tom on, and so we're going to talk about, I'm like, I am going to be listening and learning.
Yeah. I said, well, we got a good guy coming on for this.
So in a nutshell, here's where money comes from. It's not based on any physical asset, gold, silver, none of that. It's completely untethered from anything physical. It's nothing but a fiat currency. So the way that we get money into the system is Congress will write an IOU basically, and then sell it to the Fed, who prints money to pay for it. So the reason why it's an asset is because it's a loan saying that we would pay that the Congress says we will pay this back. So it becomes an asset to the Fed. So they buy the asset by printing money and putting it into the economy. That's where money comes from. And here's a really crazy thing. If you think about it, if every debt was settled, every debt was paid off, every bond was repaid, everything was paid off, there wouldn't be any dollars.
Yeah, because it would match up, right?
Right. If everything was 100% paid back, there'd cease to be dollars.
That's a little bit mind-blowing.
Yeah. Well,
No,
I mean,
it's sickening. Right now, according to the Bureau of Labor Statistics, and I'm looking at some of the data, small business owners have seen an expense increase in nearly 92%. I'm working with one of our clients on some of the other things. If we look at some of the commodities, we look at all of the rises that are happening right now in our day-to-day business, the rise in cost of logistics, transportation. We talk about this and we've all known, if we're listening to the news, what's going on, but there's a real something that's happening where now there is almost like this mafioso behavior in the releasing of cargo, and containers that would cost $200 to $2,500 on average to ship raised to $20,000 earlier this year. I'm now seeing reports of them going to almost $40,000 in shipping costs. I mean, think about what this is doing to the economy of scale when there's a business that is providing goods or services where we're dependent on that that supply chain, and it just trickles. And so when we look at how the feds are dealing with the economic standards, how the gold standard is gone, how we have a full, release on printing whatever we think we need to with, in terms of stimulus. And at the same time, before we can even catch up. Personally, Tom, I don't think that our economy has seen yet the impacts of what we did with stimulus. I think this is just a small beginning, because experts are predicting that we're going to hit 9 to 10% in an inflation raise. What's going to happen with home loans, business loans, just all of these things that we need on a day-to-day basis, when the median income today being less than 50,000 is already on the brink of poverty, right? If you look at that economic scale in inflation and what the dollar value is worth, how quickly would $100,000 a year salary become
$50,000?
Become 50,000. And we were doing some studies on this last year, Donnie, and I really want to go back to it. But it's incredible. If I look at just from a period of 1985 to today, it's just 1985, $100,000 income today in 1985 was like $370 something thousand a year. Think about that.
It's nuts. And so real wages had been increasing recently, just because of the tight labor market, low unemployment. So real wages have been going up, which has been great for American workers. But with the inflation going, they're starting to not feel their wages going up, because it's all being eaten up with higher prices. I got a picture from a friend of mine who lives in California, $6 gas in Palm Springs.
Yeah, that's nuts. And we're seeing that. We drove 2 weeks ago, right? We attended the same event in Utah. And Tom, we drove from Wichita, Kansas, all the way to Salt Lake City, Utah. And it was nuts to watch. Now, I have a diesel. And so diesel primarily is typically a lot lower than most. And I watched the price. It went up over $1 by the time we got there, right? It was nuts. We were watching it just click up all the way there. When typically cost like that is much lower for us to travel, it was just nuts to see the gas change, to see a lot of things change. And you talk about the employee, right? The working class person is seeing a benefit in the beginning of a rise, because there's a supply and demand, but they're not feeling it because the economy. And then here's the part that I think is a tough conversation to have, but it almost is like, if there's anybody that's going to save the any industry, it almost seems like the responsibility comes down to the buyer. In our case, it's that owner operator. I had a lot of conversations with individuals from an owner operator OEM perspective. And you know what I found? They are all concerned about the same thing, and they are seeing this experience everywhere. But who's going to make that decision that says, Tom, when I hire your company for services, I'm no longer going to force you to race to the bottom, because you are going to be forced to eliminate a critical component that gives me value by hiring you. You have to, because when I'm forcing you down and this inflation rate is changing the cost of living, and the lifestyle of these individuals are going to force you to retain them, there's no profit for you. What do we do with the small business? And that's the question I want to get into with you. And I want to remind you guys of this. This is from the Small Business Administration. I've gone through this before, and I want to remind everybody right now. It says in 2021, small business profiles. You know what? Let me share my screen so you guys can see this. Oh, goodness. You know what? I'm not going to be able to, because I have a new computer and I didn't approve it. All right. I'll do this later. but let me read it for you guys, and I'll let you know. You can pull this up. All you have to do is do a search that says small business, the numbers of 2021. You'll get from the advocacy.sba.gov. It says small business in 2021 accounts for 32.5 million small businesses, employing 46.8% of the private workforce. Mm-hmm. I want you to let that sink in. Nearly half of the entire U.S. economy is employed by small business.
Yeah.
That's huge. So what happens when we hurt them by trying to help them? I personally, as a small business owner, have never believed that the stimulus was helping me in the long run. I always felt this was going to hurt my ability to grow my business in the long run.
Yeah, so the stimulus is going to have a direct corollary to inflationary pressure. Just when there's more money in the system, I mean, it's like Monopoly. If you give everybody $500 more, then everything's going to just cost more dollars. Mm-hmm. So what we've seen in terms of inflation is our hard costs going up. You know, fuel is going up. Hotel rooms are going up. Food. I'm sure that there's going to be the techs in the field clamoring for increases in per diem, justifiably so. We've actually had to go to a lot of the people that we have contracts with and just say, hey, if we can't renegotiate pricing, we're going to have to step off your jobs, because it's just the economics have changed so much just in the last year since we started doing it. And we've been able to renegotiate in large part with our clients. But we also sell products, which is facing a two-pronged problem. One is the inflation, and then two is supply chain. So when you're trying to deliver goods, mm-hmm. You're fighting kind of two battles. Last month, November, we had about half of the things that we sold in November we weren't able to deliver because we never received them from our suppliers. In fact, we had some hydraulic torque pumps that we're trying to fill for a series of wind farms that are starting to self-perform. We ordered those from our supplier in May of 21, and it's been pushed back. Just 3 days ago, we thought we were going to get them in for our Christmas surprise, but they called and pushed it out to January again.
Oh, gosh.
So it's just really difficult getting the equipment and getting the things you need to get the work done at any price. Even PPE, consumables, all of these things are just hard to get a hold of. And then when you do, the prices are going up. We had 3 vendors, each had 3 price raises last year. So usually a manufacturer or supplier will raise their prices on an annual basis. Mm-hmm. But 3 times in 1 year is pretty ridiculous. But that's just supply chain and inflation just kind of hammering away at goods. So yeah. It's a tough environment right now.
And so from my side of the table, Rigo, because I don't sell goods and services, I sell services, and it's more intellectual property and a process and a framework, right? So some of the issues that, you know, Tom's having in his business, I don't see those in that regard, because I'm not waiting on a supply chain demand. I'm not waiting on any of those things. But here's where I notice it from this side of the table. We had to replace an air conditioning unit this year. We have a 2-story house. We had to replace an air conditioning unit. I broke a window in the front of our house. That's a long story. But metal, wood, and glass has like quadrupled in the last year. So what it cost me the year before to replace our air conditioning unit, our house is 15 years old, and that's about right in Arizona, is every 15 years to replace your units. We paid an extra $1,300 for the same exact unit in 2021 than we did in 2020. And that's because metal, copper, and parts and pieces went up. So here's how this will affect my business is the average mom or family who had that extra money to spend on wellness and fitness and food and getting themselves to a healthier place, that is now being sucked in by replacing a window and a dishwasher and an air conditioning unit that is now costing them so much more because these materials have gone up. And that's where the supply chain and materials going up will affect my business and me being able to serve my community and for them to be able to invest in themselves. Right. And so it really is an interesting and a tricky time right now. And so this is all very interesting and just kind of where we are, right? It's just where we are.
Absolutely. To me, it's, we depend on innovation. And that's the thing is and I'm very much one for, like, I'm not turning to the government. I don't want to. I never have wanted to. That's not the way I look at solution. To me, nobody's going to be better at figuring out the right way of solving this problem than the innovators who already create solutions every day. So to me, it's business owners that are going to be, right, a free market, allowing us as a free market to figure out the right way of doing this is going to be the right way to do it, of solving the problem. We'll get it solved. And it's just a part of me is just like, who's going to make the first step? And I was having this conversation with someone earlier, and I go, it's almost like, does somebody need to call out the OEMs, the owner operators, the buyers of this, because somebody is still capitalizing on this supply and demand issue.
Yeah. Right.
As a consumer, if things are going to go up, I'm going to buy less. But at the same time, if I'm being responsible, I'll realize that this is a time for me to be more conservative in how I invest my money, spend it, things like that. But at what point does it stop? And my biggest concern is for companies like Tom. Tom's a perfect representation of this, with dozens and dozens of employees, with 40, 50 guys out in the field. That doesn't include all his other piece of his business. A 5% change, a 10% change in someone's annual income to retain these would dramatically affect his ability to be profitable in business. And people think, well, it's only $2. Oh, it's only $1. Oh, it's only X number of dollars a year. Well, multiply that times so much. Right. How many other businesses are being affected like that? And that's the thing where I look and go, well, what happens, Mr. Consumer? What happens, Mr. Owner Operator, when you kill off 50% of your supply chain, and then you're left with the monsters of the industry that, in my opinion, have the same magical monopoly dollars like the feds, because they play the same game. I'm trying to be nice. I don't know, Tom. Help me out here. I'm trying to be nice. You have better words than me. I don't do words well.
No, it's that's the other thing. For businesses to stay competitive, they have to retain their workforce, and the job market is so hot. You have to be aware of the fact that people can jump ship pretty easily and not worry about being unemployed for very long. So I think that we're also at a place right now where if you want a job, then you have one right now. I mean, I don't think there's anybody out there that really wants to work and can't find a job.
Well, if someone says they can't, I'm like, okay, I'm going to call a big fat BS. Yeah, you're right, Tom.
Yeah,
you're absolutely right. And not only that, the lowest entry point jobs in the market are paying more than most of us got paid to start our careers 20 years ago. It's crazy. It's crazy. I don't know. There's a lot going on. I want to go back to some things that you were talking about in terms of the behavior of the Fed, Tom, and how the money gets dumped in and how it's looked at, because you were getting in some stuff and we had to jump topic, but I want to be able to kind of bring this back to you. So at any point you go ahead and interrupt me, but I want to share some statistics.
That's a hard word.
Yeah, that is statistics. Let me see here. This one's good. Raising prices. We have where was the stats on all of the remember we were doing this recently. This was on all the commodities. Like Krista had mentioned, wood, glass,
metal.
Elements like that, metal. This was some of the stuff that I was not paying attention to, but like the elements that are in our processors and chips and everything else, and this skyrocket increase. Anyways, it's I'll see if I can find it. I'm sorry, guys. I forgot I can't share my screen. I forgot to, and it's kind of messed me up because I had everything ready right there to share. But
yeah, so the word that I got was that wood is up 20%. Glass is up 25%. And this is just what we built a playground at my in-laws' cabin. And so my father-in-law went to purchase the wood to build a full jungle gym. And the person there told him wood's up 20%. So it cost him 20% more to build this playground just a few months out of 2020. And then metal and glass has, I believe it was roughly around the same increase. It feels like 20% has kind of been the standard and the norm. And I mean, that's going to infect everything from bits and pieces all the way up to, I also have a good friend who owns a framing company here in Arizona. And although the economy is crazy hot in Arizona right now, as far as housing goes, so he's very, very busy, but their prices have increased. They have seen a massive increase. So the prices of the homes here in Arizona, everything has just like tripled. It's been crazy. And listen, great for some people until it's not. That's what I always think. Like, yeah, it's good until it's not good. Like too much of a good thing is not ever a good thing, right? And so it's cost.
Yeah, it's just gonna, eventually it's gonna hit the other side. Maybe somebody's benefiting because they had a huge inventory of supply, and the price for wood just went up, and they had a huge lumber resource. Right. But then now their cost to procure that has doubled and tripled. And so now that gets passed down. Right. And I saw that earlier this year, and this summer we were getting ready to do an add-on, and we decided to go with a separate office because the cost to build on my property an office went from $10,000-$12,000 to $35,000-$40,000 just because lumber and everything else went through the roof.
Yep.
Yeah, my wife and I just put an offer in on a condo, and we're not going to be able to close until the end of March. So we thought that was great because we'd be able to tee up a contractor and get everything kind of ordered and put together to start right after we close at the end of March. The earliest anybody can start working on, we got 3 different bids, is December. So we're a year out from anybody able to do work on the house.
That's wild. That's wild. So we just ordered for our house, we have shutters on the front of our house, and they didn't put shutters on the back of the house. So we came and we had a shutter person came out, and they do custom shutters. So they are built in Arizona. They put them together. And so I was like, all right. Cause I remember seeing years ago a 2-week lead time. So I kind of had that in my, cause we kind of sit on things that we want to do. And he was like, the earliest potential would be 10 to 12 weeks out. I was like, I'm sorry, what? So what used to take them a 2-week lead, they could get your order in, create your shutters, and then in 2 to 3 weeks come and install them. It's now taking 10 to 12 weeks out. And it's because of trying to get the materials in, and then the labor, the people who used to put them together. I mean, we see it all the time. My mom manages 13, 14 housing properties here in Arizona. And she has 1 maintenance man right now. And like you said, Tom, it's not for lack of positions. She's been posting these positions for the last 1.5 years. Nobody wants to work and fill that position. And so can you imagine having 13, 14 properties and 1 maintenance man? I mean, there's so much work.
That's a great question, Krista. So, I'm in the renewable energy space. I mean, that's our business focuses on a few other things, but primarily our clients and where I've been the last 15 years has been in this space. According to the labor statistics, the fastest growing and largest need job is going to be wind technicians through the next decade.
Yeah.
What I think is interesting is, where's all the workers?
Well,
did we get a spike in demand?
No, I'll tell you what's happening in Arizona. Here's what's happening in Arizona. People were making more money to stay home than they were making at their jobs. So with what the government was handing out, people would make more money just collecting the handout. So there was no incentive in getting up and going to work. You made more money to sit at home than you did to go and have a job and have taxes taken out and gas and lunch and those types of things. So people really truly have just stayed home. And so one of the things that Arizona did was it stopped. Now those handouts are not happening and people are starting to, work again. Mm-hmm. And so it's shifting things. But that was a huge piece that was happening in Arizona you got paid more to stay home, or it was about the same. So what was the incentive in getting up and getting ready and going to work? There was none. So people just rode the COVID coast and that COVID pipe for a while.
Tom, what's your thoughts on that?
Well, I agree with that. I think that the number is $39,000. So if you were paying more than $39,000, then you were competitive with the government. If you paid less than $39,000, then the government was more competitive than your job.
Really?
Yeah.
Wow.
Well, let me give you a little concept on this, okay? So let me give you a little. So you guys know what a para is at a school, right? A paraprofessional. So she is like a classroom assistant. Classroom assistants make $24,000 in a year. They only work 9 months out of the year, and they're not teachers. So they are paid hourly for their job. If the government's giving you $39,000 to not be employed, why would you show up and be an assistant in a classroom if you're going to make $10,000 more to not go to the classroom? So that's where people just stopped working.
But now that those enhanced programs are over, what's confusing is where are the workers now? If the enhanced benefits ran out. So
that's the thing that I'm wondering too. Like where'd they go? I was talking to they're a fairly good size labor provider, service provider in our industry, Tom. And I asked him how things were going. And he shared something really interesting with me. He goes, believe it or not, our biggest issue is not losing technicians to other companies. We're losing them to other markets because those markets have been hit so hard that what they're doing now is going to our market and stealing our talent. I've never in the 14 years I've been in wind energy, I've never seen a push and a drive of we're always taking people from other markets, right? Because they're realizing how more beneficial they can take their skills and bring it here because we have such growth. Mm-hmm. This industry is not done growing, and it's been an incredible ride, but they're grabbing people and they're offering ridiculous salaries to get them to come and work at a shop because they don't have any more talent. They don't have any more craftsmen and skilled laborers. And I agree with you, Tom. Like a lot of these programs are over. So why is it that every single service industry I go visit, whether it's a pharmacy, a grocery store, a restaurant, fast food, it doesn't matter. I have not seen one place without a help wanted sign. Like everywhere. So yeah, where'd they go? Like that, I don't know. Where are they at?
Yeah, where'd the people go? Yeah,
like, I mean, the rapture happened I didn't know about, or what?
Yeah, no, it's crazy. There's such demand for everything, and that's the other thing that's fueling the inflation. Have you driven past any car dealerships recently?
Oh, dude, it's sad.
There's no cars on the lots.
There's nothing. They're empty.
So I have a little theory, and I could be way totally off, but you know that I'm a mindset person, and I don't think that we have seen. We talk, we have said it a little bit, like we don't even know the aftermath of what we are going to see with our children from being quarantined for a year, having to wear masks at school, and completely at a very transformational age, putting these lockdowns and masking and fear into our kids. We don't know what's going to come out of that, but what we do know is that mental health and the suicide rate for young children has like tripled in the last year. So my thought and my theory is this, is that there is the working force, I feel like, has been impacted mentally in a significant way. And I think where the people are at is they are at home and they're in their own funk, and they're trying to figure out how to get themselves back out into the world. And what I just think that we go into a dark space. I'm not saying everyone, but I can see how, and I only know this because I've talked to a few people who are like, I have worked remote from home, and now going back into the office, I have extreme anxiety and overwhelm, and I feel so discombobulated and disconnected, and I'm nervous and scared now. It's like going to school for the first day all over again in an industry that you've been in forever. So I'm almost curious and wondering, like, how much of this is are people depressed? Are they not showing up anymore? Are they in their heads? Like, because where did they go? Like, where did they go? Right. So it's very interesting to me. And I am very, very interested in the psychosomatics of what we are going to see happen over the next 10, 15, 20 years, and how this ripple effect is going to show up in mental health and in that regard, because we already know that it has shifted the landscape there. And it'll be really interesting to see what truly happens and comes of that.
That's interesting. Krista, have you seen that in your coaching with the women that you work with? Have you seen that effect?
Oh, absolutely. I'll give you an example. I have several moms who, when the pandemic hit, they were placed remote. So they were working outside of the home, having to get up and do their hair and shower and put makeup on and somewhat care and take care of their body, of, what they were eating, how they were moving their body. Then they had a full year of being home, and I have 2 clients that put on over 45 pounds in the year that they were remote at home, because they never had to leave their house or get dressed from the waist down, and they were home eating all day long. And now they are being told in 2022, or some of them in the middle of 2021, you have to come back to the office, and they're reaching out to me in a panic. Like, I can't go back to the office 45 pounds heavier. Nobody's ever seen me this size. And now I have to, and the anxiety and the overwhelm and the fear and the panic, I'm absolutely seeing it right now with my clientele.
Totally get that.
They're being looked at from the face, Zoom, here we go, I'm here. And now they have to show up in full body, and they're panicking.
Yeah, and I'm sure that's happening everywhere. There's still a lot of companies that are running most of their people remote. Again, I think the opportunity for a lot of roles to be done in a remote setting is incredible. I think a lot of jobs should have always been that way, but there are people that have built themselves a lifestyle where they understand how to work remotely, right? Yeah. Because it's a different way. But when you have 5, 10, 15, 20 years or more of working in an environment, and you're right, I didn't think about that. The psychology of preparing ourselves mentally, of watching our weight, because, well, we've got to wear certain attire, whether it's suit or something of business casual. Yeah. We can't wear stretchy pants, a t-shirt, and
I mean, I'm wearing stretchy pants right now, let's be honest.
Yeah, but I mean, I can tell you this for myself. I was talking to the team here, like, I thought I was ready for the show that we went to, and there were so many things I wasn't ready for. And it was interesting. It was all the psychological.
Yeah.
It was the fact that I didn't even feel comfortable dressing in my business attire. Like, I tried, I put it on, and it felt so. I haven't put a suit on in so many years I forgot. And Tom, I'm being honest, like the suit sat in the hotel room. I felt more uncomfortable than that. And so I tried to kind of like find a middle ground, and then I felt even more uncomfortable. And then it messed with me psychologically, because I thought I was ready, and it had been so long. Like, now being around people, that was fine. I like people. That doesn't matter, but it was crazy. You're right. I didn't think about that and what that affects. Tom,
Well,
you've had most of your, go ahead.
I was going to say, a good friend of mine is a plastic surgeon. She said that this last 18 months has been the best her business has ever been, because people are spending all day looking at themselves on their computers.
Yep.
And they're like, yeah, you could probably do a little bit of work here, you know?
Yeah. And, that affects our confidence. It affects how we show up. It affects what risk we're willing to take, and what roles and positions we'll step up into. And then, that shifts and changes the quality of leadership positions in our businesses, in our companies, in our world, because people are just feeling the feels right now and a little unsure and insecure. And I get it. I see it on my side of it all the time.
Oh man. So now what do we do? So it's the end of the year.
Yep. It's the end of the year. I'll tell you what I'm doing, Rigo.
Tell me.
I'll tell you what I'm doing. So listen, y'all, this has been kind of a little bit of a daper, like, oh gosh, what's happening here, right? Listen, I actually had this conversation with my husband the other day. He was like, I feel like every generation and generations have this like doom and gloom, like it's all going to come to an end. This is the worst.
We do. We absolutely do. There's always something, right?
Feels like, oh my gosh, this is it. It's over. Yeah. We've messed it up beyond repair. And what we have to do is, like a true American, is you dig in and you get to work and you be a part of the solution, right? And you do and you play your part in moving things forward and in helping people cope and helping people deal and giving people, hope and inspiration. And Rigo, that's what Lunch Talk is all about. We get on here and we help people lead, and we help people move forward and see the silver lining and continue to have each other's back. And so this is our little part in showing up and moving that energy forward, because nothing good or bad ever stays forever, right? And some of the best innovations and some of the best patriotic American moments happen when we are down and in the dumps. And so instead of looking at it in this like so sad for us, it's what are we going to do? How are we going to rise up as Americans and have each other's back and move forward? Because this is going to be a tough time. It has been a tough time. And instead of looking at it as that, I'm going to look at like, who's going to lead this? Who's going to step up and be that person? And I'm excited to watch that happen.
No, me too. I'm really pumped about what we're going to be able to do in 2022. It's interesting because, we're part of a different a business coaching group, Krista, you and I, and I don't know if you saw my response to one of the chats this morning and where my focus needs to be. And it's really interesting because, for me, I think this new year is something. This is what excites me about it, is I feel now more than ever that it is about transformation. Mm-hmm. Right. It's about transformation in this process. And it's about what are we going to do to make change in our lives. I think, as you've mentioned a lot of this about the women and what's happening, I think, we didn't know how long it would last, and then it started lasting a while, and then we got used to it. And then I think everybody, no matter what's happening, I think we've all come to a place, many of us, and I really want to hear what you have to say on this, Tom, because I think a lot of us are saying, okay, whatever the new normal is going to be, I'm now going to live my life and start to focus on the things that matter, right? Focus on the things that matter, whether that means the time that we are in, getting ourselves in alignment spiritually, getting ourselves aligned, within our relationships with our family, in our places of work, but it's time, right? Our body, our health, our mind. Because I think a lot of us were hoping that this would be all over, all of everything. But now we just have something new happening. Tom, it looked like you were getting ready to say something.
Well, I was going to say a big source of inspiration. If you just look to leaders and poet philosophers from the past. For instance, if Britney Spears could make it through 07, you can make it through anything.
I love that you. I was ready for like,
oh my God,
like someone presidential, and he dropped.
That is so funny.
If you are not barefoot at Circle K, you are okay.
Without hair.
Yeah, I mean, she just shed that conservatorship just this year. So, free Britney.
Free Britney.
Wow,
one of the things that I love to do, Rigo and Tom, this is one of the things that I love to do at the beginning of every year is I like to create a power word. I like to have a word for the theme of the year. I've been doing this since 2016 when I started my business. And it's really incredible because I have the list here in front of me. So 2020 was unstoppable. That was the word that I chose on New Year's Day of 2020, having no idea that the pandemic was coming. And a lot of people think of the word unstoppable as like you're going to crush everything. And the truth is 2020 almost crushed me, but I was unstoppable in the fact that I didn't let 2020 completely crush me. And so the word that I chose for 2021 was simplify. So I needed to go back to basics and simplify things. And the word that I'm choosing for 2022 is evolve. I think it's really important that that we continue to evolve. We continue to step up as a human race, as a business owner, a mom, a dad, a daughter, a friend. And so that's going to be my big focus this year. And so while the world can sometimes feel like it's falling apart, that one power word that I'm constantly going to set my brain on is, am I evolving? No matter what's going on in my world, and no matter what it feels like, is there evolution? Are you growing in wisdom and evolving and moving forward? I don't ever want to be stuck and not evolving and growing. So I really want to encourage everyone and anyone who watches this show, whether you're watching it live or the replay, is that you ask yourself, like, no matter what's going on in the world, where can I focus my energy and attention so that I can crush it like Britney in 2007?
Tom, I think Kristen nailed something there. How do you prepare yourself? How, as you get ready for the new year? Because I'm with Chris on that, but I want to hear from you.
Yeah.
How are you preparing yourself as you get ready to go into the new year?
Planning. That's all you have to do is do all your planning. You need to put a goal together, and then you need to, use building blocks and flesh that out. You can't just eat an elephant in one bite, so to speak. You have to be intentional for what you're wanting to do, and then break that down into quarters, break that down into months and weeks, and make sure that everybody's kind of moving in the same track, so that you're never going to be able to predict, like what Krista was saying, what's going to happen in the coming year. And as soon as you make a forecast, it's going to be wrong almost immediately. But rather than having anxiety over that, what you can do is rely on the fact of all of the past things that you've been able to get through, and have the confidence that no matter what comes, what changes happen, what external stresses appear that were unanticipated, that you're going to have everything you need in your toolbox to get you past that and be successful and move forward.
Oh, so good. So Tom, what I hear you saying is it's the reps, right? You've put in the reps before, and you've got that toolbox, and it's got all those reps in there. So with a plan, having an idea of what direction you want to move in, and then relying on your repetitions, on your toolbox, what has worked and what you've done in the past. And if it needs to be shift or pivoted, Rigo, we can do that to move forward in success. I love that, Tom. I love it. Shift. Yeah.
I don't know if you noticed, but there's a few folks that follow the program, and they've been hashtagging Shivik quite a bit. I was like, I wanted to start tagging you every time, but I didn't want to embarrass them. I'm like, I'll be like, oh, Krista.
I love it.
We should name the next variant that.
Shivik.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Variant.
Like I said, I think somebody should come up with a frequent booster card.
Yes.
And so that way, if you get, all of them,
this morning on the news, they were talking about needing a second booster. So that's 4 shots, 2 masks.
Just bubble wrap me, Tom. Wrap me.
Yeah, face shield. I'm curious of what it's going to be like for us in February, March in California. Like, I don't know, man. That's going to be interesting. So, okay, I don't want to kill where we're headed. I like this direction. Sorry, that's a different conversation. But okay, so power word, planning, both of these phenomenal, and really for you guys out there, know that right, the future of anything, it looks bright. Like we can decide how we want to take this. We had our conversation last week with Sean Crane. Awesome story of how he came out of his place. But one of the things that I loved that really struck me was his comment on fear. And I want to leave you guys with this, and I'll give the panel an opportunity to have any final words, but fear has been and can be the most destructive emotion that we can hold in. And at this particular time of the year, I think it's very easy for us to feed that fear with more lies and stories that no longer serve us or do nothing for us. And this fear is what's going to hold you back from recognizing what needs to be done. And you nailed it. You said something really well, Tom. You talked about, the analogy of eating an elephant, and it sounds silly. Yeah, we all get it. But I can tell you all of 2021, I've been trying to chew the same damn elephant without trying to do it piece by piece. And it's easy to do. Mm-hmm. It's easy to do. I had this conversation with my wife this morning that said, I'm done. I'm done choking on more than I need. I'm taking one bite at a time. And everything else is just going to have to fall into place. That's taking the plan, that's breaking it down. I love that. Annual, quarterly, monthly, weekly, daily, if you have to, hourly, whether it's health, fitness, mind, spirituality, business, relationships, it doesn't matter. Nothing you've done to this point can be resolved by going back in time. It's going to have to be fixed by how you prepare and place yourself in for success. So for me, 2022 is transformation. That is the year. It's transformation because that is what I'm excited about. And I'm excited about how that's going to affect everybody else in my life. And I'm so excited that this is episode 24 of Lunch Talk. Krista, Tom, I think you were on like episode 2 or 3.
Yeah, I think it was a while ago.
Yeah, but the crazy part is that we're now going into something that we've become very excited about and regular, and I cannot wait to bring more value for all of you guys as we get ready into the new year. So I want to wish everybody a Merry Christmas. Like I said, happy holidays, happy Hanukkah. In no way I'm unsensitive to whatever it is you're celebrating. For us, it's Christmas and it's Merry Christmas. But anyways, the time that you are going to get with your family and friends, really just take this time. Let it be a boost. You want to talk about a booster? Let it be a booster. So, anyways, any final thoughts, Tom, Kristen?
No, I think that this is always a good time of year to reflect. Lessons learned in the past year, things that you want to take with you moving forward, things you want to leave behind, and it's just a time for optimism. So, Merry Christmas and Happy New Year's, everybody.
Absolutely. Krista, thank you so much for always being here, co-hosting, and helping me keep this panel looking sharp. Like I said, I didn't feel pretty. I didn't want you to miss it today. Tom, always a pleasure. Thank you so much for being here. Have a Merry Christmas if I don't talk to you then. But otherwise, you guys watching, whether it's live or replay, let us know. We're looking forward to getting more into this next year. And so from everybody here, again, happy holidays, happy new year, and we will talk to you guys very, very soon. Thanks a lot. Talk to you guys later.
Bye, y'all.